All right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. Let's start this conversation now. It's a state of the nation of some sorts, the youth view. Let's hear their views on almost everything that has been going on. 24 days to the elections, a lot has been happening. Opinion polls have consistently been coming. IBC is under pressure. Political banter is still ongoing there, out there. We'll just find out from them what their thoughts are. Starting from my farthest left, Wilkista Duma is here, director, run for office. Thank you so much for making time. Newton Amasi is also here, the Democratic Party spokesperson. Asante sana for making time. And Nerima Wako, executive director, Siasa Place, came on time.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Ian, you saying that normally I'm on time.
Nerima is always late. Okay. Let's start off from the front page of the Daily Nation. They say lame duck president, the Standard actually. Lame duck president, they ask. Uhuru Kenyatta is counting days to his exit, yet unlike his predecessors, the president, who is also the Azimio Party chairperson, has hit the campaign trail for his chosen successor and is busy with statecraft, including making key appointments and overseeing government projects, signaling his desire not to fade away just yet. And Wilkista, I'll start with you on this. Just 24 days to go to the polls. Do you expect the president to be on the campaign trail like he is, or should he just be managing his succession and let Kenyans decide without influence?
Well, there's an ideal scenario where we wish the president would just step aside and let Kenyans decide in terms of who are we voting in, particularly for the presidential seat, because this is where it seems he's putting a lot of, his weight and influence around which candidates are we having, who am I throwing my weight behind in terms of the person that we'd like to see there at the, at the presidency. And for me, it speaks about a continuation of his own legacy, that is saying that we're throwing this person and this is who we are fronting to have as a presidential candidate, because his success also ties in with the person who comes after him, because you realize that not all the projects that started in his tenure or during his term are going to be completed within the next 24 days before we have new office bearers. So I feel like he is in a relationship where the successor of his presidency, or the successor of the term that comes in next, will determine also part of his legacy. So I feel for him to be, actively involved in the political space is also still him holding space and saying that, I'd like to see my legacy go on beyond here, because you see a fallout between him and his deputy during the second term. So if his deputy succeeds him as the president, then his legacy in a way is not going to take off as he had imagined. But if we have, the people that he's throwing his weight behind, then it means it might look different for him in terms of a continuation of legacy.
Yeah. But Newton, what is wrong with the president having a continuation of his legacy, like Wilkista is saying?
The thing is just simple, Trevor. Good morning, first of all. The thing is just simple. President Uhuru Kenyatta, we have been consistent that he needs to take a backseat and observe things from the periphery. Because one, he cannot tell us where to go as a country in the next 5 years, and yet where we are at the moment, it's a bad place for this country. Look at the high cost of living. Look at the rant he had the other day at Kenyatta University, trying to affect the education of this country through calling some powerful shots, dealing with the people swiftly. We are not, as young people, we are not looking forward to being in a country whereby we do things just because we are in power. And President Uhuru Kenyatta has consistently been on the forefront to lead this country in the bad direction. And honestly, he needs to sit back. And I'll refer back to 2002, when Moi tried to direct us to vote for Uhuru Kenyatta as the president. The people of the Republic of Kenya refused to go that route, because at that point, no Kenyan wanted to continue the legacy of the late Moi. And that is the same thing that is happening 20 years later. Uhuru is forcing on Kenyans a candidate or someone who will come in and do as he wishes. And yet the things he has done all this time have been things to pain Kenyans.
Okay. Yes. Nerima, what are your thoughts on this? Because there are those who are arguing that we have already paid for some of the ongoing projects, so they should actually be completed. So him trying to ensure that his legacy continues is not necessarily a bad thing.
It's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, all projects should be completed. It's a great thing. But then what we're dealing with is something that we haven't quite seen before as a country. And that's because we have a sitting president who technically still has a lot of energy. I'm not going to say he's young, maybe youthful, compared to
In
other
spirit.
leaders. But he still has a lot of oomph and energy, very active, and we've never seen that before. Him also being party leader of Azimio, their coalition leader, the chairman.
Yes.
So it just shows that he's very entwined and invested in this political vehicle. And what does that mean? Because it can either work to his advantage or his disadvantage. I frankly feel that the more open and vocal he is and present, the less it supports the Azimio campaign. Because people want to see Honorable Raila more or Honorable Martha Karua more, and, you know, envision what it would be as them in leadership, not necessarily having still the presence of President Uhuru Kenyatta. So I do believe there are ways that he can support, but not necessarily some of the innuendos he has been making publicly at press addresses. One, when he said that, you know, if he sees something going wrong, he will call a meeting privately with Honorable Raila and speak with him. No, that now becomes like a helicopter. You're a helicopter leader. You do not trust that he will manage things to move in the right direction, and you're almost stringing him along as a puppet. Exactly. You need to allow him to let go. The charismatic leader that he is, he has his own ground, his own space. There are areas he could use the president's support, but not in some of the ways that he has been showing that support. Yeah. I think the strategy team needs to sit down with their chairman and basically work out a strategy of the next 25 days and how he can be able to bring energy and zoom into the campaign because he's involved, but not necessarily the outbursts that he has been having publicly in the rallies. Yeah.
But again, just to add on whatever Emma has said, you know, it is so funny. We are young, and today I believe it's about us young people. It shocks to me when I see the president trying to hand over the baton of leadership to someone who is older than himself. And I echo whatever my sister here, she's saying that this is a president who is energetic, who is youthful at heart or in spirit. But again, you look at him and you see him insisting that I want to hand over this baton to a 77-year-old. When will young people like himself? He was given a chance. It left Kibaki, it came to a young person. So why is he leaving it from now a youthful person to a more older, actually a guka, to lead us? Honestly, as young people, when will we ever get this opportunity to lead?
Okay. Well, as a young person, is this about age, experience, or track record?